What is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can tell, we're going to continue our series on my NHL 2021-2022 season predictions. Continuing on the Pacific Division, we're going to be talking about the Edmonton Oilers for today's video. So when thinking about the Edmonton Oilers, the one thing that stands out to me is they got great talent with their two elite guys in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but it's a team that's really poorly constructed around them, and they can't seem to get over the hump come playoff time. Taking a look at their numbers from last season, they had a really good regular season, 35-19-2 record for a total of 72 points, finished second in the North Division, pretty comfortably got into the playoffs. Also, with having a 105-point pace, they very well were an elite team this past regular season. But as we all know, that success came falling down come playoff time, and they ended up losing in the first round pretty embarrassingly by the Winnipeg Jets, losing in 4 straight in a sweep. Obviously, though, you look at their offensive numbers with a 3.27 goals for per game, which ranks 7th in the NHL, and a 27.6% power play percentage, which ranked 1st. The biggest reason why their offense is so lethal is because their two guys, like I mentioned, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, combining for about half of their offense. I know a lot of you Oilers fans like to get on the Oilers defense and be like, oh, they're not a two-man team. When you combine for over half of your offense, two guys alone, I don't know how you don't define that as carrying. I'm sorry. Maybe that came off a little bit too arrogant, and I do apologize, but that's just my opinion. Looking at their team defensively, it was also pretty solid. 2.75 goals against per game, which ranked 12th in the league, and 82.5% penalty kill percentage, which ranked in the top 10 as the 9th best in the NHL. Now on paper, you look at this team defensively and you think it's nothing special, but a 39-year-old Mike Smith really having a career season and really carrying them in goal. Looking at the top 5 leading scorers from last season, obviously you got the two guys, and you just wonder how much better this team would be if they actually got some better depth around them. Connor McDavid with an amazing year, 33 goals, 72 assists, 105 points. He's just incredible. He's on a completely another level from the rest of the league. And his partner in crime, Leon Draisaitl, 31 goals, 53 assists, 84 points. Also one of the best players in the game. Any other circumstance, any other season, Draisaitl would easily be the best player in the league because he was comfortably sitting in second in scoring. But when you have a guy like McDavid, who with 105 points, that's pretty insane. Then you have Tyson Barrie in third, who had a massive bounce back season in his first year of the Oilers. 8 goals, 40 assists, 48 points, really conducting the power play there. It's just the perfect fit for him offensively, and I see that continuing going forward. Then Darnell Nurse, who had a Norris caliber year with 16 goals, 20 assists for 36 points for the defenseman. Very solid season, obviously signing that huge deal. Don't know if that was an overpayment or not. Then in fifth, we got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who had 16 goals, 19 assists for 35 points. He's definitely a very solid piece, and he's one of the few secondary pieces that actually shows up when Edmonton needs him. And of course, Mike Smith having an amazing season. 32 games played. He had a 21-6-2 record with a 2.31 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. He very much stole the net this past season. Mikko Koskinen was basically a non-factor, so Mike Smith really had to step up his game for this Oilers team to be as dominant as they were. And of course, it worked out very well in the regular season. Yeah, he still had a great season, so I'm not going to put too much of the blame on him in terms of how poorly they were in the playoffs. All right, so now I'm going to give you a rundown on what I think my expectations are for the Oilers this season. Obviously, taking a look at their offseason moves, defensively, they did take a little bit of a hit, losing Adam Larson to the Seattle Kraken, and they trade away Ethan Bear to the Carolina Hurricanes. And in return, they ended up getting Duncan Keith and also signing Cody Ceci, which in my opinion, that's a bit of a downgrade defensively. However, in that Ethan Bear trade, they did acquire Warren Foegele, which I think is going to improve their offensive depth. And they also signed Zach Hyman, who I think is a very solid complementary piece. And if he's playing on a top line with, say, Connor McDavid or with Leon Draisaitl, I think he will thrive in that role. Obviously, you'd have to think this team is probably a playoff lock in a weak Pacific Division, but also I would also say that maybe they're just a playoff hopeful because I still see a ton of holes on this team. I still don't like them all that much defensively. And in terms of in goal, I mean, you're coming back with Mikko Koskinen and now a 40-year-old Mike Smith. Is he going to be able to repeat the season he had in an 82-game schedule? Especially if he's going to be playing 60, 65 games, because he might be relied upon that much, right? I don't know. There's a ton of question marks with this team, but I still feel like they're so elite offensively, especially with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, that they probably should easily make the playoffs. Of course, they're going to have to rely on that offense to win them some games, because if the goaltending defense don't hold up, they're going to have to win a lot of games 5-4, 6-5, 8-7. It's going to be that kind of stuff for the Oilers to have success this year. Right, so my top 5 scorers going into next season, number 1 and number 2, no surprise. First, I got Connor McDavid. If he plays a full season, I think he should have at the very least 120 points. I'm going to push it to over 130, 46 goals, 85 assists for 131 points. Now, you may think that's a lot, but based on the year he had last season, there's no reason why he can't replicate that. And over an 82 game season can definitely have over 131 points. I mean, last year was on pace for what, nearly 150, maybe even over 150 if my math serves correctly. So this is definitely achievable for a guy like Connor McDavid. Come on now. Oh yeah, and not a hot take, he's probably going to lead the league in scoring. Then we got Leon Draisaitl, who I also expect to score over 100 points. I have him scoring 38 goals and 76 assists for 114 points. Obviously, him and McDavid playing on the power play together. They're just a dynamic duo. You put them in any situation together, where it be overtime. Whenever you need a goal, you put those two guys together, and a lot of good things are going to happen. Of course. Draisaitl is just a terrific player. He can really carry his own line. He's proven that now, playing in a second line center role. Yes, you can make an argument why Leon Draisaitl, like the majority of his success, is coming from Connor McDavid. But I mean, how many guys in the league can score over 100 points? Not many. He's obviously very talented. We got to put some respect on this guy's name. And then Tyson Barrie, I have him having a very successful offensive season, scoring 14 goals and 53 assists for 67 points. I just think Tyson Barrie, playing on the power play in the lethal offensive system that the Oilers possess, he's going to rack up a ton of points. I don't think there's any question about that. And then in fourth, I got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scoring a very solid 22 goals and 38 assists for 60 points. Again, like I said before, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a very proven, reliable top six forward for this team. Obviously, I like how they're playing him on the wing in a top six role where he can really thrive offensively. He's a proven 20-plus goal scorer throughout the last few years. I feel like he should register around 50 to 60 points. I can push it to 60 points. I could see that easily for him. And fifth on the team, I actually have Zach Hyman. This is strictly because if he's going to be playing with Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, he's going to put up his points. And he was pretty successful with Matthews and Marner. I think he was on pace for 2 consecutive 30-goal seasons if he was fully healthy. So I do have him scoring 24 goals and 26 assists for 50 points. I think that's very achievable. He might even be able to achieve more playing on a wing with McDavid or Draisaitl. But I think 50 is pretty fair for now, but we'll see. As for Darnell Nurse being left off the top 5, I figured I would just say this now. Yes, he had a career year and he had 16 goals. I don't know if he's going to score 16 goals again. I just feel like he was put in a really good situation this past season. Not to say that he can't achieve those statistics again. I just think in an 82-game season, I don't know if he's that type of player to put up that many points, in my opinion. Maybe he can hit 40, 45, about 10 goals or something, but I don't know. I don't see it with him right now. He needs another year to really prove to me that he's that type of player. All right, so now I'm going to give you guys my decided expectations are where I feel the Edmonton Oilers are going to finish this season. I have the Oilers having a pretty solid regular season, finishing second in the Pacific Division, have them finishing with a 47, 30, and 5 record for a total of 99 points, and I think, obviously, that's good enough to make the playoffs, especially in the Pacific Division. They'll get in. I don't have them having the same type of year they did last season because of those questions that I still have with this team. The defense scares me a little bit. Their goaltending situation really scares me a bit. I don't exactly think they'll appear as dominant as they were last season. I still do think when you have guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl carrying the weight for you offensively, you're going to pile up a ton of goals. And this team probably should make the playoffs, especially in a Pacific Division that's not all that challenging. Yeah, that's going to wrap up my season predictions for the Edmonton Oilers this season. Please let me know what you guys think about the Oilers and where you think they'll finish. You think they'll have a similar year like last season and be super dominant? You have them finishing somewhere around the same as I do. They'll be a decent team, make the playoffs, but not be as dominant. Or do you have them completely falling off a cliff? Because this team has a ton of question marks, and understandably so. It would make sense if you had lower expectations on this team. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, liking this video, and we're going to be doing this for every single team like I've already mentioned in the past. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later.